And we
Yep,
are
yep.
live, everyone. Welcome to the SEO news for week 18, which is last week. Always get the week numbers wrong. We have inverted. Normally I'm on the bottom, I think, but that's okay. We've got Linus and myself, Frederick. We work at Precis Digital, and we've got some SEO and AI, a lot of AI as well, news to go through from last week. So let's get started with this first one here. Exciting stuff. It just says getting products into AI engines with exclamation marks. What's happening here is Perplexity, I think, did this a little bit a while back, but OpenAI recently also just are basically sharing that they want to integrate products into their engines, which is really cool. I'm amazed they only did this now. And I think what from my understanding is they can they can crawl. They will probably use structured data, but Merchant Center and all these kind of feeds that we already are creating. Is there a direct connection to Merchant Center? Linus, do you know that, or is it just the feeds that you actually sign up for? I don't know if they actually work with Merchant Center directly.
I don't think they're working with Merchant Center. It feels weird that they'd be working with Google, honestly. I uh, Maybe they are, but it's not something I've heard about.
Mm,
As I understand it, this is them crawling the products themselves,
okay.
and you can currently sign up to have be able to submit your feed when that gets launched.
Yep.
So I think long term they want to have their own feed set up. So
Yeah,
I
you'd
guess this is
probably
their merchant center.
yeah, you'd probably create the same feed you did for Merchant Center, um, or have just one feed. I mean, if it's a URL or anything, it should be fine. I
Yeah.
think the one thing that I do want to share here is, Google is very with structured data, and perhaps also Merchant Center. There's a bunch of these like we need at least this, and this would be great. There's so many tests for testing your structured data, for example, for snippets, for merchant listings, and the reporting is there. And here we don't really have that. But they also, the way these AI engines work when they look at content is you can just feed it as much as possible. So if you have very long product descriptions, I would put those in the feed. All the product specs, everything, mark that up. You have it. Let's put it in because that will give the enough detail because people in these AI engines will search very specific things. So if you actually have the specs, your product will show up for these queries. And there, if you are looking at like a two-phrase product query in an AI engine, that's probably high conversion rate. Like you're literally looking for something you need specifically. So that's my only thing here is to start prepping these feeds like this. I would make them different, more detailed. Great. Then Google released a really long list of real world AI uses from Google Cloud, like a really good way to promote Google Cloud and how businesses can use it. I haven't gone through all of them, but again, if you're in a business where, hey, we are doing this and we have this issue, maybe look at this list. There's 101 Dalmatians, I was about to say, cases, and just kind of go do a Control F and search there if there might be a case that you could use as well. So really good kind of resource there. This one, another how how to improve visibility in AI powered search. Every week there's a new guide, right? I think this one is good because it really is specifically tailored to how to structure your content. So I thought there was a really good advice on being more factual. Again, something we hear a lot, like, but being more factual. Um, I like the one with no noises, like try and have your content don't have a lot of interstitials and other things popping in between, call to actions as well, which is really hard to balance when you're doing content. You also want to promote, if you're doing content around your niche, you want to promote your product, but maybe be careful there as well. So just another few smaller. All of these guides seem to have a new little thing that you can add to your database. Next up, Google Extended. Remember that, Linus? Well, apparently there is some confusion around it. So, Aleda Solis, she wrote a really short, straight to the point guide, and actually a good example of content that AIs would love. It's very short, to the point, explains what you need, um, and it's just basically for blocking your content from being used to train future versions of Gemini. Doesn't block AI overviews. Google doesn't really care about that, it seems, but again, let's be careful. Do we want to get mentions in Gemini or not, or any other AI engine? I feel this discussion is important because if we're creating brand content that should attract customers, we want to be mentioned. We almost want that to be the training if we can get a citation. But there might be things that you don't want. that is still live on your website. I mean, that there's things there where that discussion has to be brought up before we do any sort of blocking, because otherwise we risk just not getting into any training data, and then we're not visible in any AI engine. So just important to have that discussion. This is I'm going to share this from Lily Ray. She posts a lot, especially when she's at these conferences, SEO Week, etc. She'll post slides. I have tons of cool slides, but it's really hard to kind of relay them, I feel. So there was a lot of insights, but one of the things she shared recently here was how ChatGPT was putting in a video of her and then describing what is doing in the video and stuff like that. So just important, like with SEO, to have a multi-platform strategy when it comes to content branding, if you have the resources for it. AI engine seems to love that too. Oh yeah, this one is great. So one of the slides here, this is not from Lily, but a cool example of a cool workflow for getting enriched content. So again, a lot of these slides here from SEO Week, I'm going to try and see if I can relay the most important ones in text. But I really like this one in terms of like, there's this conditional steps, like does the article exist? Can you get the context, perplexity, deep research, get related keywords, audience research from all these things, and then review the enriched content. There's even a step for fetching relevant images. So it is top level, but I do like the thought pattern here. I think we've built something like that, or I'm trying to build something like that in a Google Sheet for now. With all the steps, it's a bit more flexible, but definitely the thought pattern here that I like. So just wanted to share that. And then, ooh, yes. So eat. I can't say it. EEAT, reimagined.
Eat.
It's a eat. um, it's basically, I think it's a really good take on reimagining. Maybe we don't need to reimagine too much EAT, but thinking beyond rankings and optimizing for sales. So again, James Parrott, our head of SEO, has presented at Brighton about SEO and CRO. The slide deck is out there. I hope we can get a recording somewhere as well. I'll be sharing on LinkedIn. But the importance of those two, and actually will probably merge together completely. And this kind of highlights that point as well, but more focus on EAT. So just a really, really good guide, and like talking about reputation, branding, and how it helps actually sales and conversions as well. So I guess that is a really good focus to have. I think it's a good take. Oh yeah, another one from SEO Week here. So Randy Fishkin says Google is receiving 373 times as many daily searches as ChatGPT. Again, what I'm saying here is AI tools are tiny, and most people still use both. I know I do, but I actually learned that I'm not a good audience research persona at all for the way I use AI. I'm not a commoner, so to speak, in that area. However, I think this is worth discussing. We have an AEO. We sell answer engine optimization, is what we've chosen to call it, and I think I've seen a lot of posts that really try to sell this as one little simple thing, and I think that's dangerous. I think that's not what the meaning here is. We actually, when I sell answer engine optimization to anyone, what I do is I say, well, we'll do SEO, but we'll add a little extra because you have a priority with AI. That's what we're selling. We're not just selling, we'll only optimize for AI visibility, because if you can't do that without SEO. So I think for anyone listening that's not a precise, just be aware, like if what you're actually buying into. I think that's I think I've seen a lot of pushback from good SEOs that are saying, hey, watch out. And there's a new term called AI bros, where people like just, I just focus on AI visibility and that's all I do. And like all these new consultants coming up, and they're just a bit too loud and they don't know what they're talking about, I feel. So be careful. Grain of salt. Let's see here. Next up, AI Overviews expansion from Google. Yes. So they expanded AI Overviews coverage in late April. Not going to go through everything here, but it's just it shows by industry, entertainment, travel, etc. So have a look at this. It's interesting to note what's going on if you're in education, for example, as well. So yeah, just a really good resource here, and the latest in terms of the coverage of AI Overviews, which is still not the best, I think. We are not seeing it in the Nordics still, right? No, that's still not happening. Some European
No,
countries now. Yeah, just
Yeah,
FYI. This one.
it's gonna be coming.
Yeah, so you might like this one, Mr. Merchant Center. Google has introduced a search for products button in Merchant Center console. This is technically not, it's more of a tool update. So if you do have Merchant Center, you can now create these predefined search queries and then you can actually label them. So you can kind of save them almost, and it's just really good for auditing specific categories, etc. So again, it helps us audit if there's anything wrong, like why don't these show up here and here, but also just for anyone who works directly with Merchant Center. It's just a great feature.
Yeah, very
And
cool.
yeah, yeah, thank you, Google. And then for the page speed, core web vitals, tech SEO bros slash nerds, Google is revamping Lighthouse audits to align with the performance panel in Chrome DevTools. I love the performance panel, by the way, in Chrome DevTools. It's become much better and more user friendly. And I just love it because it just gives you an idea of what's going on in a visual way. And it's going to align up better with that. So the Lighthouse is, if you go to PageSpeed Insights, put in a URL, you can see your Lighthouse test. It'll basically look at your core web vitals, which is user measured, aggregated, and then it'll run a test in an environment and give you some scores. Just be careful. The scores are relatively static. They're good for debugging. The core web vitals data is good for looking at what people actually see on your website. You need to have both. You can't just audit using one or the other, or at least prioritize. So, but yeah, I'm not going to go into all the different stuff here they're changing, but have a look. And also here, I found a really good framework for content audit and refresh. I think the focus here was on refreshing, like what should be refreshed. So it's from Hack the Algo, which it's a nice way of saying, is it gray? Gray.
it's, it's it's definitely leaning black.
Yeah, it's a hack the algorithm, you know. Um, but yeah, I really just like the thought pattern here, like prioritization of what we should be refreshing and all the metrics and I lost revenue, key events, lost clicks, like how they actually do this, and it's actually a really good guide on how to set this up. So yeah, just have a look at that as well. Um, and then I can see here Brody Clark, who's very much focused on. He's running SERP alerts on Twitter. Any small little change in the SERPs, he'll notice. So it's a really good newsletter. And he's, of course, going to be focused on the shopping features as well. And he's actually sharing some confirmed ChatGPT shopping ranking factors: price, customer ratings, product specs, size, ease of use, influence rankings. We've got the structured metadata, Schema.org style markup. Appears important. Those specifics are vague. Third-party rankings, Bing and other external providers, possibly Shopify, influence product visibility. So a little less. I think they're a little bit more when it comes to Google Shopping, but overall they kind of align pretty well. And there's basically this whole guide is just a comparison between ChatGPT Shopping versus Google Shopping. Doesn't look very good here because it was a table, which is hard to copy into a cell in Sheets, weirdly enough. But have a look at the guide. It's really good. Yeah, comparison should guide your strategy as well. And again, these are small tools. Like if you have any task related to Merchant Center with an opportunity, that's the one you should be focusing on first. And then finally, Google, there's a lot of new Googlebot IPs. And the reason I share this a lot with specific clients is because a lot of times they will have IP related detection for, hey, I'm a user and I end up on let's say the .com domain and I'm immediately redirected to the correct language folder. Or at least I get a pop-up, but it's all based on IP. We kind of want to exclude Google from that. So a lot of times I'll use Google IPs to exclude. You check if you're a user, are you Google, and etc. And so if you're using this type of detection / filter, it's good to add the new Googlebot IPs. You might actually be blocking or missing them. So these are actually things to look out for when you start setting these things up. And I hope CDNs and protection services actually also look into this a lot. They hopefully have one guy just constantly checking documentation. But yeah, for anyone who's doing this custom, there you go. We've got it. And the person who shared this gave us a nice copy paste friendly version of these IPs. So thank you, Ryan Siddle from Verso.
Shout out.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, founder of something. Ryan Siddle. Thank you very much. So helpful. And that was it for the news. Short and sweet. but still a little bit of value here and there. Some good guides and good times with colleagues and friends. Can't get better, right?
Preach.
Yeah, preach.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So yeah, like, comment, please subscribe. These comes every week and they're important. They will save you money or make you more money. So have a good day and I'll see you next week.
See ya. Ciao.
Ciao.